Hey everyone. Um, okay, so yesterday I went to the cinema and saw the new horror movie Oculus, and I had a hell of a lot of fun. This movie was great. It really was. Um, when you're looking for a really well done modern horror movie that isn't just made up with cheap jump scares, this is a good movie. Um, it's one to recommend because this is really well thought out, and you can tell a lot of effort's been put into it. And again, it's not just a movie full of cheap jump scares. It's not something that was just thrown together cheaply to make money. A lot of thought has gone into it, and of course, it was R-rated, which was amazing. You know, it's awesome. Finally we're not getting plagued by this PG-13, and I tell you what, this movie going experience was a lot better than my last trip to the theatre where I saw A Million Ways to Die in the West, because that was just awful. So bad. Two people in the theatre walked out and never came back. But this was a major improvement. Yeah, it was such a good time seeing this movie. So, and again, the best way to describe this movie is it's kind of like if you take the plot from the Amicus movie From Beyond the Grave, that segment with David Warner where he purchases the mirror, and you also mix it in with another Amicus movie, The Skull from 1965, and then you add in elements from that Goosebumps episode, Let's Get Invisible. Then you have this movie. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I mean, they took a concept, that's been done a number of times before, as in, where something like it's not necessarily the house that's haunted, but like I say, this mirror, they've done stuff about haunted mirrors before, but again, this was a nice take on it, and they added some originality in, because of course the premise of the movie is that there's this mirror, which of course everyone who's owned it has met with, they've come to an unfortunate end. They've been killed, and this film focuses on a particular family 11 years ago, so in 2003, where the mirror did the same thing. It killed the mother and father of the two main characters, who are, of course, brother and sister. And they made a promise that when they get older, i.e., like in 10, 11 years' time, they'd meet, they'd come together and finally destroy this mirror. And of course, that's what the film, we have our movie. So, again, it's kind of original in the way that, it's kind of like the victims strike back, basically, because obviously we've had a number of, something we've seen before where, the victim's life, they killed their, but it's not often we see any retaliation or any aftermath, like two people going on a revenge mission, but we get that with this movie. And of course, throughout this movie, it cuts back between the present time and also then back to 2003, when the initial events happened, and they do it so well. It's seamless. They do it really smoothly, and as the movie progresses, the cuts become more and more frequent, but it's still seamless. It's still really well done. And again, of course, the thing with this mirror is, as the tagline says, you see what it wants you to see. You can't. It gets to the point where you're struggling to tell what, or differentiate between what's real and what isn't. And wow, this was such an enjoyable. I loved this movie because it wasn't something I was, really looking forward to. It was just, a movie that's coming out. I didn't really have any high expectations of it, although I saw Brad Jones' review of it, and he said it was a well done horror movie. It had something about it, And so I thought, well, at least it's gonna be a solid movie. But I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I was, from the opening scene, I was with it. I was with this movie. I was invested in it, and yeah. Do you know what was nice about this movie? There were some jump scares, and there were some music stings to accompany the jump scares, but for a lot of this movie, it was relatively quiet. And that was such a welcome change. It was such a nice change. That's one of the things I loved about this movie. It was so quiet. Brad Jones made the point that when he's watching a horror movie, he finds something genuinely creepy if it's just there. If it isn't done as a jump scare and it doesn't have a loud music sting accompanying it, if it's just there. And I agree, and this movie has that. There are times in this movie where, like, this dark figure of this woman who comes out of the mirror, when she is just there in the room, and there is, there might be, like, not a music sting, but when the music score's playing, they do, like, might be like a low beat, like everything just doom, and it's, you know what I mean. But that is so much better, I think, and it is amazing when that happens, because you get one of them within the first 5 minutes of the movie, because the way the movie, because obviously you get the opening, like opening titles, and then the movie starts. This is another horror movie that doesn't waste any time. The movie opens up and it's showing you, like, the events that took place 11 years prior, like when, on the night where the mother and father were finally killed. And so right away you're in the movie, it's got you. And yeah, in the first 5 minutes, because obviously the two kids who obviously go on to grow up and who would be the main characters of this movie, they're trying to escape, because obviously the father has killed the mother at this point, and he's going to try and kill the two children. Some people have made the comparison between this part of the movie and The Shining, and yeah, you can see some comparison there. There's some likeness there. But yeah, because they managed to get out the room, and they're on the way out of the house, and as they're heading for the door, you see that the figure of that woman just stood there. And again, there's no loud music sting, there's no stupid jump scare, it's just there. And the lighting in this movie is really good, and the makeup as well, because the way they've done, like, these spirits that you see who come out of the mirror, the way they've done them is really well done, and the glowing eyes that they've given them, because obviously when you see them in the dark, obviously that they really stand out, and you're like, oh my god. There is genuinely some horrific imagery in this movie, but yeah, like I say, this movie doesn't waste any time at all, because obviously it shows you that what happened 11 years ago, and then it cuts, of course, back to the present, and we find that the younger brother, he'd been put in a mental institution for a number of years, and then obviously on his 21st birthday he's finally released, and that's where the movie like really gets underway, because his sister's there to meet him when he gets out of the institution, and she's gonna help him. But she says obviously we've got to, first we have to fulfill the promise we made, and I've finally tracked down the mirror, because obviously after what had happened, they'd sold off, parts of their parents' estate, and one of the items being the mirror, and obviously that's been sold sold on and on through various auctions, and finally the sisters managed to track it down, and she's bought it, and she's had it took back to the original family home, and we get, again, this movie doesn't waste it. There is no filler in this movie. This is all, it's like everything you see is relevant. It's not padding at all. And basically, before you know it, you're at the night where it all goes down. Basically, the brother and sister go over to the original family home one particular night, and they set up base there, and basically that's during the course of that night they're gonna capture evidence of these spirits that haunt this mirror, and basically prove their father's innocence, that he wasn't responsible for his actions in killing his wife and trying to kill them two. And then obviously they're going to ultimately destroy the mirror, because that's something to touch on, because she has the sister's really good in this movie, because she's not a dumb character at all. She has this whole thing planned out. She's got it all set up. Like you said, she's got the mirror set up, and she's got everything in place. She's got timers set. She's got cameras set up to record everything. She's thought of everything. Like I say, she's stocked up on supplies, and she has like you've probably heard about the plan B that she has in case anything happens to them too, with this I'm not sure what I call it. Obviously they explain it in the movie, but this big blade that's hung up, and if anything happens to them and no one's there to reset the timer, that'll come down, and it's being set up so it'll go right into the mirror and thus destroy it. But yeah, and obviously that comes into play later on, and it's something that it's something they refer to, like, you don't forget that that's there, that hanging blade. It's something that they keep going back to. It hangs over this movie like a shadow, rather appropriately. They're gonna go somewhere with that. And because it starts off like she's talking to the cameras, and she's introducing herself and her brother and explaining what all this is about, because obviously it's to act as evidence, of course. And then obviously we have the exposition scene where where she explains to us obviously what this mirror is and the history of the mirror, and that it's centuries old, and it's been responsible for the deaths of a great number of people. And again, she's going through all this, and she has like files on all the cases of the people who've been killed by this mirror, and the way they go through that scene, the way they dish out the exposition is really, really well done, because and credit to the actress as well who plays the sister in the old version of the sister in this. The way she delivers it all, she delivers it in a really, really good way. I mean, Brad Jones says like her delivery of this, like, it's kind of, because throughout this movie you there is some doubt as to whether or not she's right that the mirror is actually, or whether she herself is, is insane, and she's just imagined the whole thing. But the way she delivers her lines in this movie, it really contributes to that, keeps that idea alive, because obviously she's getting so worked up while she's going through all this exposition that her delivery is kind of like someone who is insane. But yeah, and when this exposition is all given up, this is an aspect of the film where you realise how much thought has gone into this movie, because obviously the detail they've gone into with the backstory and the way they've thought about how to deliver it, and again, the acting in this movie is first class. It's better than what you'd expect in a typical horror movie. Like, all the actors are bringing their A game in this movie. They're all invested in this movie, and rightfully so, because it's a top quality horror film. Like, I'm a big James Wan fan, so obviously the Conjuring and the two Insidious movies and Dead Silence, but honestly, genuinely, I think that this movie, Oculus, this is up there with those James Wan movies in terms of quality, and really, really, really well done. And I'm so glad I'm so glad I made this decision to go and see this movie, because it would have been such a shame to miss out on it. And yeah, this movie doesn't drag at all, and it's not a particularly long film, so it doesn't have time to drag. It just needs to, like I say, get going and get to the point, and like I say, it doesn't waste any time. And that's one of the things that makes this movie good. It's over before you know it. So yeah, the get underway, the night gets underway, and things, you know, things are going to plan, but obviously nothing's really happening early on, and like I say, because the brother's been in therapy for so long, his memory of what had happened has been affected, and obviously, he thinks that the sister is remembering wrongly, and he thinks that she's imagined the whole thing. But of course, as things go on, we realise that no, the sister wasn't mistaken at all. This is really happening. This is really going down. And of course, the brother comes to realise that, and obviously, credit to the brother, because he just came out of a mental institution, and he's afraid. He's afraid. And she is, but she's doing a better job of holding the nerves. But to the brother's credit, even though he is really scared, he stays with us all the way through, because initially he says, well, I'll stay for a bit, but yeah, he stays with her for the duration, and credit to him, he doesn't let his nerves get the best of him. Because it's good, the continuity's good, because even when it cuts back to what happened 11 years prior, that was still the same. It was still the same. Like, the sister, because obviously she's the eldest, she was the braver one, and the brother, he was the one who was let his, he was the one who let his fear show the most, But yeah, when things get underway in this movie, it doesn't let up, and like, it's genuinely well done, because, like I say, Brad Jones again, he said it's up there with Nightmare on Elm Street, on the 1984 version, of course, in terms of the way that you can't. It's difficult to tell what's real and what isn't, and of course there's that infamous lightning bulb scene that's been shown in the previews for this movie, and again, it's true, it's fair to say there is some genuinely cringeworthy moments in this movie where she's eating an apple, and of course, because obviously the mirror blurs the lines between reality and, reality and imagination. And one of the ways that she thinks she's biting an apple, and then she looks and sees it's a glass bulb, and then obviously she's picking all bits of glass out of her mouth, and this is where the R rating comes through, because obviously there's spitting up blood. It's tough to watch. I was in my suit and I was having, oh man, it's tough. But then obviously, fortunately, you realise that obviously that was just an illusion, and she'd actually only, she was actually eating her apple. She hadn't actually bitten into a glass bulb. And thank God, because that would have been awful. That would have been brutal. I mean, she'd have been out of commission for the rest of the movie if that was the case. Well, pretty much out of commission if that was the case. But thankfully, and that's the thing about this movie. This movie genuinely makes you care about the characters. The brother and sister, they're genuinely likable. You want these guys. You don't want these guys to die. Please don't die. Yeah. But like I say, as this movie progresses, things get more and more blurred, and there's never a dull moment in this movie. And as things go on, you get more and more cuts back and forth between present time and 11 years ago, back in 2003, and yeah, I mean, because obviously what happened was, of course, the father of the brother and sister, he had, back in the past, he bought the mirror and hung it up in his office in the house, and of course that's why the mirror targeted him. But I think it effectively possesses you, and then causes you to go and kill your family. Again, kind of like the type of thing in The Shining. But when the father gets possessed by this mirror, the actor playing the father does a really good job, because he can be really cold and he can be really, really intimidating. Like when he's talking to the two kids, you're like, Jesus Christ, there is something genuinely not right with this guy. And it's pretty brutal what he does to the mother, because the mother, as things go on, she becomes affected by the mirror, i.e. the mirror sort of possesses her as well. And the father, he chains the mother up in the bedroom, and that's a rough scene to watch, because the mother just completely loses it. She becomes rabid, she's just completely loses it, and just sort of, she becomes really, really vicious, and it's almost like she's, she's lost her humanity. She's just become like another animal. And again, that's rough to watch. But when you're looking for a really hard R-rated movie, there are some bits in this movie which are genuinely hard R, because there's a bit where she smashes this, I think it's a plant pot, and she's chewing on the damn pottery, and because I think they say, when they found the mother dead, most of her teeth had gone, and it was from chewing on this, because you don't see it, but you see the floor and the lower half of her body, and you can hear her chomping down on this pottery, and then you can just see pools of blood just dripping, and bits of pottery falling over, and I think you see some of her teeth actually cut, God. Yeah, like I say, this movie, you know, I don't want anyone to think that this is an exceptionally gory movie. It's not. It's done well. You know, it's not. It's not a gore fest. You know, but there are some genuinely cringeworthy moments, and it does get pretty graphic at certain points. And this is one of those times. You know, there are parts in this movie which are tough to watch, like that scene, the light bulb scene. There's a bit where, like early on, like when, you know, back in 2003, when things start happening with the dad, you know, when you realise that this mirror's having an effect on him, when uh, he's trying to take this plaster off, and he can't. It's for some reason it's staying on. He can't get it off, and for some reason he uses, like I say, a staple remover. And my God, he tears his damn nail off. Oh God, that is tough to watch. I'm sorry, guys, but even thinking about it, you know, God, that is painful. Because in reality, because obviously the mirror's been made. In reality, he has actually managed to take the plaster off, but the mirror's making it look as though he can't take it off. So, in reality, when he's going at his finger with this damn staple remover, he's going at his nail, you know, and like, oh, wow. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, but, oh, God, and you feel bad for these kids because these kids try everything, and obviously like they try to alert the authorities, and like I said, they try to get a doctor, you know, to come and check on the mum. And but the thing about you really get the sense of isolation in this movie, because the mirror obviously there's the talk about this, like there's like a certain area which it covers, like it has a radius to it, you know, um, like a perimeter which, you know, inside of which this, you know, it can completely control, you know, like it can create illusion. And one of the things it can interfere with is the phone lines, you know, and when they try to call, they get the same thing over and over again, same voice saying, you know, you'll have to ask your father to call. And of course, no wonder, since the father is in collaboration with this mirror. Oh God, and this movie is genuinely chilling at some points, and you know, it's such a joy to watch as well. Well, apart from those cringing moments, you know. But yeah, you genuinely feel for these kids as well, and you can understand why as they got older, they wanted to destroy this damn thing. But that, again, that's one of the things to touch on when she's going through the exposition of all the people who have died from because of this mirror. That, you know, no one's been able to destroy it. You know, it's sort of like they say, you know, it can defend itself. The mirror can defend itself. Yeah. So again, so it really you can understand, like, it's not as simple as just destroying it, you know, like you can compare this kind of like to the One Ring of Power from Lord of the Rings, like, you know, it's destroying this damn thing is no easy feat. But oh, this movie is great, and the music score to this movie is great. You know, like, again, it's not just full of jump scares. It's not. There is a genuine score here, and it's a real, you know, it really adds tension. You know, and you know, it's got that drive and beat to it that keeps it. You know, like it keeps the movie going. You know, and yeah, and it helps. It genuinely helps to create a lot of tension. But yeah, that's something else I've got to mention. There is genuinely genuinely, there is some horrific imagery in this movie. There are things from this that will stay with you. Like, not to give too much away, because this was the scene in the movie that, you know, I was like, Jesus Christ, what the hell is that thing? Where it takes place back in the past, where Garrett Ryan, who's playing the younger version of the brother, he goes, it's like late at night and the electricity has gone out. So he goes down to his father's office, you know, and he's a bit, oh, I don't know if I should do this, and rightfully so, because, like I say, the way the father is at the minute, like I say, it's kind of like Jack Torrance, you know, you don't know what you're going to get when you try and engage, you know, when you try and interact with him. Yeah, he knocks on the father's door, and he opens it, and it's all dark, and then you can see the dad sat at his desk. Like you can, like I think you can see kind of like his out. You know, you can see his outline in the club. I think he's got like a white shirt on, so you can. And he says, you know, Dad, can you fix the electrics? And Jesus Christ, the thing that's in there with him. Not to give too much away, but you see it, and again, it's done subtly. There's no stupid music sting, and it's on screen long enough to, you know, it's not something that flashes up really fast. You go, what the hell was that? You know, it stays on there long enough to realise what the hell you know, to see what the hell you're actually supposed to be looking at. But Jesus Christ, that is terrifying. And Garrett Ryan just makes a beeline, you know, he slams the door shut and bolts straight upstairs, and I don't blame him. My God, there is some, like that, the figure that's in there with the father, you know, that is some genuine, in collaboration with some of the other spirits that you see throughout this movie. Oh, wow. Yeah, there's some genuinely creepy imagery in this movie, some genuinely frightening stuff. Again, much like in The Conjuring, much like in Insidious, like you take some of the imagery in this movie, and it's up there with like Insidious. You know, the bride in black from Insidious, Jesus Christ, the Bathsheba witch from The Conjuring, Mary Shaw from Dead Silence, Jesus Christ. There is some genuinely horrific imagery in this movie. And again, you know, I think it is from one of the producers of Insidious and Insidious 2, so there is a connection between both movies. Yeah, I said the other day, like after I got back from the movie theatre, I was saying to my mum, I think this movie, Oculus, would make a genuinely good companion piece to go with Insidious, because they're both really well done horror movies, and you know, intelligent horror movies, and really well done. You know, there's been a good effort. You know, like you know, there's been a lot of love for this movie, and what, you know, wanting to make something special. In both of these movies, Oculus and Insidious, they are something special, genuinely. But my God, there is some genuine, you know, some of the things you see in these movies, there's just, some of the imagery just genuinely stays with you, you know. And yeah, they've talked about the ending, and like Brad Jones says, basically, this is the ending, but done better, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. The ending to this movie is the ending to the second Blair Witch movie, Book of Shadows, you know, but done, again, much better, because the brother and sister in the end, they get, the mirror creates the illusion that they've been separated. The brother's in the room with the mirror all by himself, or so he thinks. And obviously everything's happened at this point. You know, they've seen spirits, they've been attacked by spirits, they've been chased by spirits, they've had the hell scared out of them. And like I said, he decides to end it, and he again, going back to that blade that's hanging up there, he decides to like set the time, you know, so it goes off, and so it'll trigger the blade to come and crash straight through the mirror and thus destroy it. But again, it's intercutting with the younger version of the sister, because it's really good. Like when the older brother and sister are together, and when it cuts back in the younger brother and sister, like it's good because it changes. Like the younger brother might be with the older sister, and the older brother might be with the younger sister, and there's even a point where the younger brother and the older brother come face to face and, you know, see each other. So, but you know, like it seems, it's something that it might seem like on the page or when you're told about it, you know, you might think this seems kind of difficult to keep track of, but when you're actually sat there watching it, you know, you can keep track, and it just shows you how well done it is, you know. It, like I say again, it's seamless, it's done so smoothly and so well done. And yeah, because it cuts back and we're with the younger sister, and she's in the room with the mirror on her own, and she sees like her mum in the mirror, and obviously this is after the mum says, so obviously it's kind of like the spirit of her mother, and she goes up to the mirror, and basically the mother sort of comes out of the mirror and hugs her, cuddles her. And so they're hugging, and then it cuts back to with the older brother, and he sets the timer off. Sets the timer off, and it triggers the blade, and the blade comes down, and it collides with what we think is the mirror. But of course, and you know, it's kind of like you saw this coming, you know, but it's no problem because again, it just worked for me. I was fine with it, and of course, it's impaled the sister, because obviously, when the because of course the brother wasn't actually in the room on his own, the sister was there with him. And when the younger version of the sister was hugging her mother in the mirror, the older version of the sister was stood in front of it. And so obviously in triggering the blade, it's come down and it's gone right into her. But, oh, wow, and again, it was brutal. You know, and you genuinely feel, like, you feel for the brother, because as soon as the blade comes down, boom, the illusion's broken, and he sees her there. So, and you think, oh God, you know, and you feel for the sister as well, like, because obviously, you know, you genuinely wanted both these guys to survive and to destroy the damn thing, but oh God, it's brutal. It's brutal, and but so well done at the same time. And again, even though you kind of saw it coming, because they did threaten this a number of times, because obviously where we find out that there's been the mirror's created an illusion, and then finally when the illusion breaks and the characters realise where they actually are, they're actually stood there in front of the mirror where with the blade like about to come, you know, the timer about to go off, and so you know, all those close calls, and then finally it happens. But again, you know, when you kind of saw it coming early on in the movie, like, you didn't know, like, whether they both were going to die or whether it was going to be one. But unfortunately, it turns out it does happen, and it turns out to be the sister who gets killed. You know, and of course, like, the movie ends with the police finally around, because they called the police earlier, but again, they weren't sure whether they actually managed to, or whether it was again the mirror creating the illusion in interfering with the telephone lines. But apparently the call had gone through and the police finally arrived. Yeah, I was kind of getting flashbacks, you know, Sleuth, the 1972 movie, when after Lord Olivier kills Sir Michael Caine at the end, the police finally arrived. Oh God. Um, but yeah, this movie ends with the police like arresting the older brother, and obviously, you know, the brother, and of course, you know, he's gonna be going back to that mental institution for the rest of his life now, probably. And of course, this damn mirror's survived somehow. I don't know how it managed to do it, but it did it. And of course, that's gonna go on and on to possibly kill more. You know, it's kill more people. I mean, it's survived for centuries already, and it looks as though it's going to go on to survive for many centuries more. Um, But yeah, again, this is another movie where, you know, as soon as, like, we've had the climax, the sister's been killed, and you know, it doesn't waste any time wrapping up, because obviously the movie, that's the main point of the movie, the sister's killed, you know, and the brother's arrested, and the movie basically ends with him being taken away in the police car, and it's, it's, and of course, all the while he's being taken out, he's protesting, you know, it was the mirror that killed her. And even the police are baffled by it, because obviously they look at a recording of him triggering the timer and setting this blade off. And they realise, but he was the one who actually called in the 911, you know, made the 911 call, and then he goes ahead and does this. It doesn't make any sense. But, you know, and you have to wonder, like, whether, yeah, because you don't really see the way. Obviously, you see that the way that part of what's being recorded on the cameras, but you don't really know, like, how will the footage on the camera be? You know, what will it show? If, because obviously we know what we think we saw, but whether that's what's actually gone down and whether that's what will actually show up on the cameras is a different matter. Again, much like Blair Witch 2. But I would agree that it's done so much better in this movie. But again, it's genuinely sad, and another piece of creepy imagery, because because a number of times when they go out of the house in this movie, you see the spirit stood in the house looking out the windows, and Jesus Christ, that's an intimidating shot. And again, it's with the idea of something is just creepy and frightening when it's just there, and when you're looking at the house and see all these spirits with those glowing eyes staring at you out the window, like, Jesus Christ, you know, after you if you're gonna go back in, you know, I'm in no hurry to go back in there. And when he's been taken out at the end and he's been put in the cop car and being driven away, you can see you get these, you know, the spirits just stood there in the window staring at him, and they're like, Jesus Christ. But again, it just goes to show that the mirror, you know, the mirror's alive and well, you know. That's just going to go on and on. So again, it's quite a sad ending, really, when you think about it, because obviously this brother's inadvertently killed his sister, and he's gonna go away for the rest of his life in that mental institution. And like I say, this mirror's just gonna go on and on. But again, it's genuinely well written, this movie, because like I say, you genuinely care about the characters, and you genuinely feel bad for the brother at the end when he's been taken away in the cop car, because you think, no, how can you do this? But yeah, I'd like to say I'll definitely be getting this movie when it hits Blu-ray. I loved it, but and again, talking about the ending, like I say, it ends with him being driven away in the cop car. Do you know what else I loved? Do you know what I genuinely loved about this movie? Because obviously it's a horror film, and you get these with so many horror films. Well, you do now, for some reason, and it's annoying, some of them. But there was no ending stinger. Thank you so much. Like, you get, like, a lot of modern horror movies end with a stupid, cheap jump scare. Like Sinister, the Ethan Hawke movie. Now, that was an intelligent movie, and that was a well done movie, and there was some genuinely creepy, creepy imagery in that. But I quite liked that movie until the last shot of the movie where Mr. Buggy just drops in front of the camera, bah! Because he'd done the same damn thing earlier. Because when Ethan Hawke's up on the stairs going up into the attic, and he sees some of the ghosts of the kids, and then finally Mr. Buggy's face just comes into frame. He just drops on the floor stairs, and obviously they do the same thing later on as the last shot of the movie. Think, oh, damn it, movie! Why did you do that? Again, a pointless, cheap jump scare that ruined that movie, But this movie doesn't have it. He's just been taken away in the cop car, and you have a wide, an exterior shot of the car driving away, and then boom, credit. Thank you, movie. Thank you. Again, like The Conjuring, the last shot of that movie. The last shot of that movie, just where it's zooming in on that music box, and obviously the music stops, and then boom, just black screen and credit. Again, there was no cheap jump scare. Thank you, James Wan, and thank you to the makers of Oculus for not putting that stupid jump scare in your movie either. Just. I mean, a final stinger at the end can be good. Like the first Insidious movie, where we find out Patrick Wilson, he's been, he's been possessed by the Bride in Black. That was a genuine good final stinger. But the thing about that was, it wasn't some stupid cheap jump scare. It was a stinger that had some substance to it. It was an intelligent sting. Again, it's a twist that you didn't see coming. But, like I say, I don't think there was no room for a stinger like that in this movie, I don't think. So, just end it normally and go to credits. Thank you for doing that, movie, because, honestly, I was enjoying this movie as it went on, but it was something I was worried about. Please don't do this movie. Please don't do some stupid end stinger at the end, which ruins it. And they didn't. And my God, I was so pleased with this movie. Thank you for not doing that movie. Oh, like I said, and you've got to love this movie. And again, this is a movie that shows a lot of restraint, and thank God it did, because it's such a rare thing now. Like that movie, The Quiet Ones, as Brad Jones said, rather ironically named, because of the amount of noise that's in it. That movie, The Quiet Ones. I kind of like that movie. The only reason was, though, because Jared Harris was in it. And I like Jared Harris in that movie. And that part at the end when it all breaks down and chaos ensues and it's just a full-on action sequence. That fight with Jared Harris in it, I was rooting for Jared Harris in that movie. But yeah, the amount of just stupid, cheap jump scares in that movie, and how loud the damn thing was. That was so annoying, so stupid. Like I say, if Jared Harris wasn't in that movie, I would not give it the time of day. But like I say, he was really charming in that movie. But yeah, if he wasn't in it, nah. But like I say, that fight scene is good at the end. But yeah, I mean, but like I say, Oculus is much better than that movie, The Quiet Ones. I'd like to say I think it's better than Sinister, because, you know, given the fact that there was no stupid stinger at the end. But yeah, this is really good. And I was genuinely pleased and genuinely surprised. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be a serviceable horror film. It went above and beyond that. You know, this is something special in this. Genuinely, this movie is something special. Yeah, and you know what? It really made up for the that abomination that was A Million Ways to Die in the West. I came out of that movie and I had absolutely no energy left. That movie drained me completely. Whereas this one, I just came out of the movie smiling. I loved that. Yeah, and again, I think that movie could have been up there with my favourite movie going experiences. Like, I always talk about Fast and Furious 6. Going to see that was up there with my favourite movie experience. And then obviously going to see Non-Stop. I went and saw it recently when they re-showed it on the Thursday at Cineworld, like the Take Two showing. And again, that's up there next to Fast 6 and my favourite movie going experience. And I think this one as well. You know, up there, those three, I think, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I'd definitely go see this movie. And like I say, I think October is going to be such a great month, because I think that that's when Oculus comes out on Blu-ray and DVD, and 24 Live Another Day is coming out on Blu-ray and DVD, and obviously X-Men Days of Future Past will be probably coming out on Blu-ray and DVD around then. So I'm looking forward to October. I'll be getting those three straight away. Yeah. Oh god, I had so much fun. Wow. Yeah. But yes, I'd highly recommend this movie. This movie is really worth going to see. And you know, if you're looking for a really good modern horror movie, because genuinely, I would rank this up there with Insidious. You know, it's like I say, when I get that movie Oculus on Blu-ray, I might have a night where I watch those two movies back to back, because I think there'd be such good companion pieces with each other. And again, some genuinely creepy imagery in both, and it's genuinely well done. Great effort, well thought out in both movies, you know. And obviously with a lot. And do you know what? Do you want to know something? I was getting worried, you know, when I saw the cameras set up in this movie, Oculus, because I was thinking, please don't go found footage. Please don't do that. You know. And they didn't. They didn't. And it was such a nice change. I was so relieved, you know. I mean, I'm not a big fan of found footage. I mean, I like the first two Rec movies, you know, and that was good, Chronicle, but I don't have time for found footage, really. You know, I want a movie to look nice. I want a movie to sound nice, you know. But yeah, this movie was just sighs of relief for me, and like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Thank you, movie. But yeah, definitely. And again, as I said, there are some jump scares. You know, there are some, but not many. And when there are, you don't feel angry about it, because the movie has earned that. You know, the movie has earned that occasional jump scare. And again, just, oh god, this guy. I'm sorry, I can't remember the director's name, and I really should, because he's worth remembering. He should do another horror. He should do other horror movies, and if he did it in this sort of style, with that subtle, calm, toned down, quiet style, where he just lets things be there. Yeah, if this guy goes on to direct more horror movies, we'll have some more good quality horror movies. You know, since James Wan has taken a bit of a back seat from horror now. Like you say, he's gonna go on. He's directing Fast 7. Yeah, this guy'd be a good stand-in, a good replacement. Yeah, but I'm sure a number of people who have seen it will agree that the way it ended, they left it open for a possibility of more sequels, because obviously this mirror's still there, it hasn't been destroyed, so you know it's probably going to be sold on again. But my God, I hope they don't. Please don't make any sequels. Please don't make any sequels. I mean, they made the sequel to Insidious 2, you know, Insidious Chapter 2, and I like that movie. I personally, it's out of those three, The Conjuring, Insidious, and Insidious 2. Insidious 2 might be my favourite of those three movies, but I will agree, we didn't need that movie. We didn't need a sequel to Insidious, you know. But I liked it, and you know, because of that, I'm happy with it. I'm not bothered. I'm not going to see Insidious 3. No, no. I can't believe we're getting Insidious 3. But then again, I can't believe we're getting a Taken 3. But it's still happening. I'd rather go see Taken 3, I guess, than see... I'm not seeing Insidious Chapter 3. There's no point, because we've completely wrapped up the Patrick Wilson, you know, Patrick Wilson and Ty Simpkins storyline. Like you say, the stuff with the Lambert family is finished. And I'm finished with it too, you know. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to say, let's talk about Taken for a second. I mean, obviously, I loved the first one. When I saw the second one, I hated the PG-13 cut of the second one, but quite enjoyed the R-rated cut of it, like the extended harder cut. And again, Taken 2 was an unnecessary sequel. Taken 3 is more than unnecessary, but then again, so is Insidious 3. Insidious 3 is more than unnecessary. But I'd rather see Taken 3 than Insidious 3. And I might not go see Taken 3 in cinemas if it's because it'll probably be rated PG-13, because again, God forbid there's something that the younger viewers can't see. But again, it's alright because I've got my R-rated Oculus. I'm happy with that. So I might wait till Taken 3 hits Blu-ray, because obviously we could get an extended hard cut, and I'd rather watch that, because at least in the action sequences I'll be able to tell what the hell's going on, you know, because like I say, in the PG-13 cut of Insidious 2, in the PG-13 cut of Taken 2 rather, you know, you can't,